Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome to Inside the Industry. Thank
Hello.
you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun.
Dude, no, I'm just so excited to see you. For those
Yay.
that don't know, I mean, I was lucky enough to get to know you on like a brief set, right? I believe it was either Clifford the Big Red Dog or was it Evil,
I think it was both. It
right?
must have been both. What was first? Clifford?
Clifford. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. When I
Okay.
was getting back into TV and day playing, and I was like, hi, hello, I'm new. I haven't done this in a minute. And you were so kind because I think you were one of the girls that I was like, oh, wait, I really was out of it so hard to the degree that I didn't even realize we had to like shave people and clean them up. I think you were one of the girls that were like, yes, you have to know that. And yes, you have to bring your barber. I was like, okay, got it, noted. We'll do that. Right on track.
I
But
know.
so yeah, you gotta help me. I was dying over there. I was like, oh, but you were so kind and like you know
Oh,
your shit. This is not your first rodeo. You have been
no.
around in the business for quite some time. How long have you been
A little
working
bit.
in this industry?
Oh my gosh.
Years.
Probably good 10 years.
Yeah, like a
I
good
think,
decade
yeah.
for sure. And you really, you know your way around the industry. I feel like, I mean, SFX, for those that know you personally, know that that's something that's near and dear to you and just
Mhm.
a passion. But you do beauty well. You do just
Thank you.
everyday TV makeup to theatrical to some body art. Like you really have run the gamut as far as skill sets. Did you go to proper schooling for anything?
Um, well, starting out, I came to New York. I'm originally from Michigan.
Oh,
And basically, I wanted to get into film. I was playing around with acting. I
yeah,
always loved act. I love movies. So, like
yeah.
the idea of, being Indiana Jones and like swinging from a rope. That's like,
Yes,
how
dreams.
fun is that?
Right.
So I was playing around with that, and then I wanted to do something more behind the scenes because I love movie making.
Yeah.
So I was playing around. I started as a PA. I got into art department. Yeah,
I didn't know that. So
and
you
then
really know your way around a movie set.
I
Like,
do. I was even set dressing for one shoot. Well, assistant
okay,
set
oh, whoa,
dressing.
whoa, no.
I learned stuff.
Yeah.
I learned stuff about
Oh
fashion,
my God. That's crazy.
and
But it
then
makeup
hmm?
must it brought you to makeup. You're telling me. I'm interrupting you.
No. It did because I met some people. I started. There was another shoot with effects, and I always did that like on my own as a kid, and I did that in college like with theater.
Oh,
So I was just messing around. They're like, "Oh, that's actually really good." I'm like, "Oh,
thank
okay, this could be a thing."
like, is it? Thanks.
Yeah.
Good. I'll try.
Yeah. So I fell into it, and it was so artistic and fun. And then I got into beauty makeup and,
Yep.
I took some classes. I'm like, this is really fun. I get to be artistic.
So
Who knew this was a job? A
I was gonna say you're low key. I mean, you're kind of self-taught in that sense then.
little bit. Yeah.
Right? You didn't go to, I mean, because I know I went to Make It Forever Academy, and some people go to the like an actual program, maybe at Mud or
Mhm.
cinema, whomever, like all different schools. Obviously, we could name, but that's really impressive. Is
Well,
it?
some of the people that took me under their wing, they gave me the mud guidelines,
Oh,
everything that they learned from there. So I'm like, okay, great, thank you so
right.
much. This is awesome. Like, let me look through this stuff and
Yeah.
let me get going.
That helps a bunch, at least so you knew
It
industry
does.
standards. I mean, for your journey, I know you're in the union, obviously. We've been on union sets together.
Mhm.
How quickly did you get into the union, or how long were you plugging when you realized, oh, this is, because I also know that's a different path for some
Yeah.
people to really then go, and that's kind of like joining, I don't want to say the real world, but it's like, the big leagues. You're in the big leagues. You join the union. You're up there. You're getting to be on certain TV sets that maybe you wouldn't have the privilege or time to ability to be on just simply because it being a union set. So you
Yeah.
starting off doing your own thing, what gravitated you towards the union?
Well, a couple of different things. The main reason was, I mean, I was department heading a lot of, indie features. I was getting into it, and the work was good. The work was absolutely fun, but it wasn't as steady. obviously, as I would like it to
Yes.
be.
Yep. Hmm.
So, I was looking into the union. That was always something that I thought, would be a good idea. Obviously, I love film, so I want to work on the awesome films that are out there.
Yes. Truly.
so, so basically, I was looking into it. I think I was about 5 years into doing makeup. I, did it the first time. I didn't have quite as many days, so I reapplied. Somebody convinced me to reapply again. So I'm like, I'll wait it out.
Oh, thank God you did.
I know. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you. Really appreciate you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda.
Ah,
So she's just like, yes, you need to
you're
submit. You need to do this. You know your stuff. You're not on union shoots, but you know your stuff. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I did it again. I
mm,
got in. I crossed all my T's, dotted all my I's, and paperwork was done.
yes.
You
Yeah.
know, I
That's
had
like
like
the
a
biggest journey of it
portfolio.
all. Yeah.
Yeah.
History now. Look at you now. Oh, I'm so
Yeah,
thankful for that friend though, and obviously like colleague to you, Brenda. But you need those people.
you do. You
It's
do.
like, especially when you're really starting off, you need those people around you to kind of cheer you on. I know we can all get in our bags of like, I know I'm good, but
Mm,
all right, like where do you sit? You almost have like that imposter syndrome of like, I know it's like, but I'm not so and so, or
yeah.
yeah, I like it, but I don't, I don't know if I could do all that what these guys do. Meanwhile, you're just self-sabotaging because you're just as good, just as capable as these people. And then I'm sure now you've been amongst these like
Mm.
elites, if you will, and you're like, isn't it kind of crazy if you're sitting in the room and you're like, cool, like I'm here, I made it, I'm with amongst my peers that I really admire and looked up to. Like that's a really sensational feeling.
It really is. It really is. Especially meeting them, and they appreciate my work. It's like, oh, really?
Yeah,
Great.
like the
Thank
best. You're like, whoa. Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. And now tell me, because I know, like I'd say, I know you. Yes, I met you on set and you were doing beauty and the everyday like background and people and chilling, but also you do SFX and do really well. And I also just
Thank you.
highlighted it is your passion because you're also a girl. I mean, as far as when I'm looking at your Instagram, and we're going to slowly get to being a business owner now, my God,
Yeah.
which is huge and exciting. And people, I've had so many wonderful friends on that they've gone that endeavor of creating a business or a product line for themselves. And it's never easy. And it never looks the same for everyone as far as building that model and popping into that world. So I give you the utmost respect because I know it
Thank
is
you.
a lot of work and a lot of time, truly, money, investment, just a lot of things at once. But what got you into feeling like, did you have any, was it watching movies when you were younger? What sparked the like, joy of gore? Because let me tell you, I'm not the one, Elizabeth. I even on set, like on Evil, when there's monsters, I'm like, oh
Mm.
no, like I don't like it. I don't like looking at it. I can admire it that it's art, but I get scared. I don't want to recreate cuts.
Hmm.
Where does it come for you to be like excitable about it?
I know the exact moment
Yes.
when it brought. Yes, I do. Basically, I was, of course, I was watching a horror movie with my older brother and sister and the babysitter.
Oh my God.
And there was a scary moment on the scene, and it was really bloody. And the babysitter said, "Don't worry, it's just ketchup." So I'm like,
Oh,
"It's ketchup,"
is
which
it?
means that whole thing is fake, okay, so it looks real.
Stop.
So, and it got the whole thing going,
The
I
world
always
was
thought
thinking
of
like,
that.
whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought of it as like an artistic thing of like, how do you make something look so real?
Yes.
Or how do you do that effect, seeing somebody like melt right before your eyes or something
Truly.
crazy.
No, really, honestly.
It's and that part is something that I love,
Yeah.
and seeing somebody gasp from seeing something that was just totally bizarre, or, being emotionally invested into something, and, they just jump out of their chair.
Totally. And you're like, yes, like that, but it's as for you as an SFX artist, it's like I did my job.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I made you believe it. I made you be scared of it. Meanwhile, working behind the scenes, every
mhm.
aspect is calculated, fake. There's never any real gore to it, obviously, like
Yeah.
to the slightest of cuts, of bruises, of scrapes, like, and that does astonish me. I'll always be like in awe I don't want to create it. I just don't have the urge, the passion. If I have to on a job because of the job, I will.
I understand.
But it's exciting. What it would be maybe your favorite? Has there been any recreations or monsters or specific cuts or anything you've done that you felt like extremely proud of or accomplished by?
There's been 2 instances.
Yeah.
One, I had to create. This is crazy.
It always is
So
so weird.
I know it is.
They want
That's
the
the
head
fun
to
part.
fall off and roll 5 feet and then come. Yeah.
And it's got to squirt a certain direction. And
Yeah. Like what?
Yep.
Oh my God.
There was one in particular. I was talking to the director about a scene. He wanted somebody's face to start puffing in different areas, like it was going to explode, and then it does explode. And I'm talking with him, like, a lot of that is animatronics of what you're talking about. And he says, well, we don't have the budget for animatronics. So what can you do for me? So I started messing around and playing with certain things. I'm like, okay, I think I got something here.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like, there's a scene in a movie that I did where like things are pulsating, and then in the next shot it all explodes.
Oh my God. Did you put things like my brain? Because again, it's like, I feel like you're a very smart, special type of person to understand, like you said, the inner workings of you just even being like, that means animatronics. If a dude came at me with that production was like this, I'd be like, no, there's no physical way. There's no way. Because it just is so crazy to me that I'm like, how would I'd have to build a whole new head and then rip it, right? Is it just like a whole prosthetic moment? That was
I mean, this had to go on the person's face, obviously we didn't have the budget to create like a full head and that looked like him and
totally
all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like, how would I do this? Playing around with different things, and it just kind of, I have that moment where it clicks, I have my freak out session, and then I'm like, yes, that's it.
I got it. This will do. Let's go. Oh
Yeah.
my God. At least for those kinds of gigs, is it enough preparation time that they usually give you with like before the episode, or is it kind of like a fashion week where it's like, hey, we are shooting this quite soon and you guys got to figure it out, and you're in the trailer just like, it's
a mixed bag.
Yeah.
I mean, usually the effects stuff they tell you ahead of time, so you start to get the gears rolling. Especially for features,
right?
There's a little bit more time,
right? Yeah, there's a little more prep for the days, or we knowing what we're
absolutely
up to. Sure. I remember I did a oh my God, wow, I'm gonna butcher the name. I'm so bad with names, but I worked on an Eric Andre and oh my God, Derek Beckles. They together, I don't know if you know them, they do like the craziest things from like Adult Swim, and like they work on all those networks, whatever. And we did a series with them, and just the things on a day-to-day basis that they had us do of like, I couldn't even list you, and it was on the fly. It was a non-union vibe, and I actually worked with Blair Aycock, and she was my head, and I was her key, and we were running around like mad, like putting toenails on people and painting them, and then tattoos and goatees, and then I want blood spurting out of my mouth, or I want to foam randomly at this moment. And the amount that I learned on that show, but also on the fly, of like how to make these quick effects. Luckily it was a silly show, so if it kind of looked a little fake, not too real, that was a part of the bit, which I think is also a part of special effects. Do you ever run into the bits where it's meant to look outrageous?
Oh,
is
absolutely.
It a little bit easier for you, or is it also harder because you're like, I want to make it look good and I can't make it look phony?
It depends. I mean, the project with like the pulsating head, that was very 80s style, 70s, 80s style. So it's like, okay, you're not going for realistic, you're going for fun gore. So it's like, okay, we can do that.
Totally. Which I think people miss a lot, which is like the categories of even beauty, or like, especially working in TV, that's definitely where you get the most of it, where I feel like, I mean, I'm sure editorial as well, but TV, it's kind of fun because you really have a whole backstory to things. You get to see it play out, whatever theme, or if it is funny, or if that's, supposed to be taken. I mean, SNL does it obviously impeccably well, where they have a lot of realism, a lot of like, you need to look like this person to the best of your ability, but also we're going to make you look like you have tiny hands and this big monster head, and like absurdity shit, like just crazy stuff. So it's kind of cool seeing the spectrum of where SFX can go, rather than even just like this crazy, sickening gore I mean, all I think of when I think of that is like movies like Hostel, where I like can't even deal with like the snipping of an Achilles tendon. And I'm like, how do these people even think of these things? And then to do it in person, oh my God, I couldn't carry through with it at all. Do you ever have cringeworthy moments? Have you ever been like grossed out by your own work?
Um, I've grossed out other people.
Okay.
Which
Yeah.
is great. I've had it's up to 3 now. Up to 3 people I've made gag.
No.
Yes. It was 2 DPs and a director.
Oh my God. They get because of the blood?
Um,
Or was it like a actual
most of
vomit?
them, it was one was a fingernail, like
Oh,
a torn fingernail. So yeah, I know it.
I would too. I would cringe.
I know it's fake, so I'm like, okay, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
one with a hand was getting electrocuted and the skin was stuck to a door handle and like got pulled off and yeah.
So, yeah. Did
Sorry.
you see the things? Isn't it insane? Like for me, I would give you, if you ever feel like you're having a day where you're questioning your work, throw it to me and I will literally vomit for you in person because it will freak me out and I will validate your work because it is too much. I can't.
Thank you.
I can't. I was like, I'll assist and look from afar. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot do that, dude. So now with all of that love and time, and you obviously, you like you said, a decade of work and being in the industry and being about it, getting the experience and obviously playing with a lot of products. You've had a lot of scenarios where you've had to create these gory moments or funny moments and that whole gamut. But now as people know you, and it is so exciting, you have your own business line, your own bloodline, which is so like two kind of like definitions to say, like it's a literal bloodline and then there are bloodlines. But you have, and hopefully I don't say this wrong, but Cine Blood Type-O?
Typo.
Type-O, okay.
Mhm.
Type-O. That's what I was like, I know there's all different blood types, so get it together. But this is your blood product line, which I think is so exciting and impressive. And if you have a little bottle with you, we can see her.
I do.
I might have you
Absolutely.
show us a little bit in a little bit. But I'm so excited because you had told me that on set where you're like, oh yeah, girl, I'm coming out with this bloodline. I was like, stop, because it's rare. We know, obviously, because we've been using them over the years, we know people have these product lines. You know, you think about all the little details, but it's so fun where it's somebody that it's like, A, who you know, duh, but also just starting off in this industry at your age, like this, you're very young, Elizabeth, and like killing it. And just to be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do and you make it out of your home. It's a small batch company as of right now, right? Correct? That's out of New York.
It is, yeah.
Which is so, is it you and it is also hubby, or do you work with, because I know you have your company and it is Into the Labyrinth, correct?
Yes.
That's
I have
production.
I have 2 companies now.
God.
I have the production company called Into the Labyrinth LLC.
Yep.
And that's the one that we use to make our films. We do a web series now.
Wow.
I don't stop working, apparently.
You do not. This quarantine has done nothing to you. But
yeah. I know, right?
Yes.
So we do a web series. We just did a film called The Dark Offerings. We finished editing it. We're doing the rest of the post now. And that's the first feature film to be under quarantine. As far as we know, we were the first ones to start shooting, and everything is socially distanced. We followed all the guidelines. So I had to design the effects from afar for everybody, which was really fun.
Wait, how did they do that if you're designing? Who executed them?
Basically, I did. I made them, made little gift packages for each actor, sent them over.
Did they do it themselves?
Yes and no. It depends. Some of them had people that what they were living with, so that could help them out. But
essentially, they didn't have a makeup artist working on them. For all intents and purposes, they didn't.
One of them knew a makeup artist that was friends with them that lived nearby, so they had that trust thing. So that worked out.
Yeah.
But at the time, we followed all socially distant guidelines.
Yeah.
And put it all together, you know, and I walked him through a lot of it. Yeah.
Was that a whole, I mean, you're saying it with ease, but let me tell you, that sounds extremely complicated on my end.
It is. And it was basically a set of 2. Marcus directed, he co-wrote it. and he, wrangled all the actors.
Yes.
I was producing, I co-wrote it.
Whoa.
I did the effects, and I'm acting in it.
Get Elizabeth. I've seen all the promo.
We
I
have a
haven't gotten
small
to
group.
sit. Oh my God. But so is this like your main crew? Are these like your people that for Into the Labyrinth Productions? This is like your main crew of who does all the productions, who produces the things, who directs, who makes all the movies with you?
Well, pretty much. I mean, we didn't really have much of a crew. We had a friend, Dave Green, that helped us with the lighting. He zoomed in and helped us with the lighting, and he's just like, okay, those sets are good, great.
Wow.
So it was a weird experience, but we made it all work, and
totally.
yeah.
And you did it. Is it a literal feature film? Is it like 2 hours worth of footage? It's like a whole moment?
It's about an hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my, no, that's a lot.
It is.
A lot. My God. What do you feel like was the most thing you learned from that experience? Because I know I've had 1 or 2 virtual jobs, and it really is pushed me as a makeup artist to be like, oh, I can teach makeup a little bit better than I thought I could. I could get people to a place where I was very confident in their application. I was surprised.
It was challenging because certain things you want to see happen, and it's just like, okay, is this a level that I can teach somebody at? Is this effect that we can do? Is there a way that, I can make it easy for them so they can just, do it with ease? They don't need like a degree.
I was gonna say, I'm like, you're asking them to not even just be like, hey, put that blush on for me. You're like, can you slit your throat and like add this like blood? That's a lot. That is a lot. That's also like really on the actors. Good for them. They were gung ho. They were clearly.
They were, and all of them were our friends ahead of time.
Yeah. Okay. Then that's the comfort level and trust obviously built there, which is super important with stuff like this. I mean, I'm impressed by anything that's going on in quarantine right now, but kudos to being number one. You guys didn't waste much time then. Did this happen? When were you guys filming?
Well, we filmed basically we got everything ready end of March and started filming in April.
Wow.
So, yeah, we didn't waste any time.
No time. She was like, oh, what, we're on lockdown? That's okay. Meanwhile, I'm in my house like, I don't even know if I can breathe right. I shouldn't touch my face. I'm sitting there panicking in my own safe bubble, and you're like, I'm going to make a movie.
It was really a godsend because we needed to stay busy. There was crazy stuff going on. We didn't know where a next riot would break out. Some of the scenes, there were, stuff getting destroyed in the background.
Stop.
While we were shooting. We're like, should we be concerned? No, the show must go on.
Honestly, catching a moment of history in your film is not even a bad look. I love that. Awesome. Why not? Kind of adds to like, well, hopefully it didn't distract from what the actual scene needed, but
it doesn't. But we did realize in one of the scenes there was like a siren that passed by. We're like, huh. Okay.
Like, it is hard. The little things where you can't be on set being like, let's hold for that. It's like you just kind of have to go. Yeah. Did you watch God, what is it on? I think it's on Amazon. It's like Love in Quarantine. They similar where it's like they from afar. I mean, they had camera crews go into these people's homes, but it was literally the homes of these actors that they're living in during quarantine, who they happen to be living with at the time. And so it's like Leslie Odom Jr. and his wife Nicolette and like all these other couples and people and family. And it's just like went through different explorative, narratives of life during quarantine, like it was very cute and cheeky, but they show you the behind the scenes of how it's being shot. The director's like all the way outside in a van across the street, like being like, okay, I want you to do this. And I'm like, that is crazy. And it's just them with the camera on a tripod set up for the scene to just automatically move in certain things. And it's like, it's a whole new world. Do you feel like this is the new norm, or are we going to kind of go back?
I don't know about new norm, but I think this is how it's going to be for a while. We're just going to have to mess around. And I mean, we're artistic. We can handle it. We always figure this stuff out. That's what you do on set every single day. How do I condense more and more and more, but still have what I need?
Don't get me started. Don't get me started, especially in quarantine, then being like, okay, all these rules. I'm like, I don't know if you follow Create Safely on Instagram. Do you follow them?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay, because they've been my like safe. They have saved my ass of like how to just be like, because I was all over the place at the beginning. I'm like, what if I do get called tomorrow on a job? I was like, I have no idea what's what, and like we know our basic cross contamination, and like you said, we're
Mm,
always as artists trying to downsize and figure it out. But I mean, for all the individual packaging and tubes, that's a whole new world as well. Like every little tiny thing, it's like, whoo, you got to be the most
mm.
cleanly of cleanly, which as well we should be. So it's a good thing. It just pushes people to that extra level of, protectiveness. So hey,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Our department has always been very clean with
always.
sanitization and everything. So
Yes,
this is just like a step up, like, okay, we're going to add on top of this and we're going to make it this much safer.
exactly. The even more. It's like anybody that's the extra organizers of the world, or
Mhm.
like this is like their love of like they want everything. This they're probably living. This is their time. Just like
I need to hire them,
I
and
need
just,
to. Yeah, just come and let me know exactly what's best for my kid. Matter of fact, you're here in my house. Let's do my house.
yes,
Anything that feels good to you. Yeah, totally. Now tell me, okay, so about your blood, which
yes.
sounds so crazy. Why blood? Why did you go down that route? Out of all special effects, you didn't go prosthetics, which again, maybe that's something that we're looking forward from you to expand into, or are we keeping her niche? We don't know.
We'll see. But with blood, so I watch films a lot,
Yeah.
as
Yes.
you can see.
I mean, hello. Give us a display.
It keeps going.
Okay. See, you're a real makeup artist. I need a whole like archive back there, and I don't.
um, I always watch blood in movies, and one of the jobs I worked on, it was like a goofy zombie movie, or yeah, and we had to use like this fluorescent blood,
Oh,
which was it
like
was
wait,
a
literally fluorescent, like glows.
no, it was a fluorescent detergent blood.
Got you.
It came out of things,
Mhm.
but and it's the cheesy, fun,
Yes.
gory element, which was great. But I was looking at it, I'm just like, there's all these great different types of bloods for different things.
Mhm.
It'd be great to have like a universal blood that's great for everything. So I
Right.
started messing around, because all effects artists, start to make their own blood for some reason. They
Stop.
just do.
Really? All right, you guys are a different breed. I haven't met any of you. I'm learning.
So, I was messing around with different materials and like what could look the most realistic. I'm playing
Okay.
around with color. I got this good combination of red and dark blood going on,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and this was 10 years ago. I was messing around with this stuff.
Stop.
Um, and I found this really good concoction. I'm like, okay, yeah, that looks really great. I got the color down. So then I started messing around with ingredients, and
Mhm.
then I started bringing it on to anything that I was department head on.
Wow.
I'm just like, oh, I don't need to buy blood. I got my own blood, which always helps.
I mean, a
So
piece is they're like, oh, good, budget wise, that's perfect for us. Like
exactly,
that's your kid. Yeah.
it's great for me. It's great for them.
Yes.
So then I realized that it started coming off of things easily. Somebody got it on a shirt and they washed it off and they're like, oh yeah, it came right out. I'm like, oh,
Good.
and then it got on like hardwood floor and cement, and they're like, oh yeah, I got it right out. I'm like, oh, great. Okay, so this comes out of everything. That's
On to something.
fantastic.
Yes.
So I even improved it a little bit more.
Mm.
And, long story short, we now
Ah,
have Cine Blood Type-O.
Type O was born. And I love, okay, so, and I'm just such a nerd when it comes to names and
Mhm.
like how people create titles or their business stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I just love when it makes so sense. I just love that your whole slogan is like, it's the universal blood type.
Yes.
I think it's so good. It makes me so excited to read it. I'm like, oh my God, the branding is everything. And it really does, like you had said. And I mean, for people that are just tuning in or just figuring out about your bloodline, it's incredible. We're obviously going to tag your actual bloodline Instagram so they can follow suit on it. But it's so crazy to me because I'm watching the videos of you covering clothing in it and then rinsing it out and having it in front of us. Almost like those commercials where they stain a rug and you're like, wine, no
I
big deal.
know.
And they rub it out. The deepest
What I
stain,
was going
you're
for.
fine. Yeah. It's so incredible to watch it though, because even me, like I've had to go and I've gone buy all different sorts of bloods for when I was doing indies and things like that. And I was always so paranoid. My biggest fear was about the costume department.
Yeah.
Being like, oh my God, you guys want this down her neck, but then maybe, like you said, with budgets and indie films, maybe they only have 1 or 2 sets of wardrobe. Like, so I can't really be going through clothes like this. It is such a phenomenal, smart, like really intelligent makeup artist move of you to be like, okay, not only is the coloring going to be it,
yeah,
but I'm going to make it multi-purpose so that for all my friends and people on set, this is an easy, no-brainer product to use, which I think is incredible. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's also partly edible.
It is. It's edible as well.
Tell me about that, because I live and die for the scene. You just posted a photo about, just in case you guys forgot, you are bathing in it, number one, which I think is so epic. I'm like, she would, and this is perfect. You're literally in a tub of blood, and it's like oozing out of your mouth, which I'm obsessed with. And Halloween coming around the corner, I mean, if anybody wants to do any sort of like gore or add to your costume, or you have a client that's like, yeah, I want it to drip out this is perfect. This is perfect.
Thank you.
Honestly.
Yeah, they're basically, yeah, I just did a bunch of photo shoots a little while ago.
Yeah.
And the theme was Elizabeth Bathory, because I'm like, how do I show this to be the most gory?
Yes.
Well, Elizabeth Bathory bathes in blood.
Oh my God.
And, you know, she drinks it, you know, that shows off that aspect. You know, and she's going to be covered in it. So I'm like, okay, I'll go for it.
To get in the tub. Everyone get the tub of blood.
I thought it was only fair because I've drenched so many people in blood. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show that I will do it too.
I have to feel this. I know. Yeah. If I've painted or covered clients in glitter, I was like, I feel like I have to do it to know what they're going through. You have to do it. You took
Absolutely.
the plunge. Yeah.
I took the dive. I did it.
How is it? Is it good? Because I haven't gotten to feel it yet, because I was like, I need to go. I don't have many needs yet for blood, but I've been plugging you because I'm like, oh, you need blood? Please look up her bloodline. But is it sticky? Does it feel like, what do we feel with it?
It's thick. It's very thick. It can be watered down. But the thick aspect is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Which helps with the oozing. It doesn't ooze too quickly.
Yeah, it's not super watery.
It's not super
cool.
watery, but you can water it down.
But even where you're showing me the drip, it's crazy, even the depth of color.
Exactly.
Because it literally now is a little bit brighter to then still have that deep blood. Because for people that are, I mean, really heavy in effects, I mean, like you had said, is it new blood? Is it old blood? Is it dried blood? Is it a fresh wound? Is it all different kind of areas of blood? And I feel like this blood can do so much.
Exactly. And this is it on the napkin. And you got the orange texture, you've got the deep colors, you know, and then as it dries, it does look a little brown. It doesn't totally age, but it just does it enough where it's just like, okay, yeah, that looks real.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that looks real. It literally looks like you could have just had like a bloody nose, wipe the tissue.
Exactly.
And now even for sets and people using it, I mean, it's easy wipe off. So even for splattering effects, I've seen you write with it. It really is, I just love it. And I get really excited when a product, not only does the founder of it, the creator of it, show you, it doesn't just say, oh, it does all these things, and then we never get to see it. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really show you, they just advertise for what it does.
Exactly.
You've literally shown every single time of what it is that it does in full effect, which I like so respect as a business person and an artist. I'm like, yeah, I want, if you're telling me it does this, show me that it does that. Yeah. And you've done it. So kudos.
Thank you.
Yes.
I really tried to. It was a little complicated coming up with things to do. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I show them that it does this? Right. Okay, well, I guess I'll wash it out of a towel. You know, or I'll leave it on my door. You know, I did a Happy New Year's and I left it on my door for, I think, a good 3 weeks. And then I washed it off. And it came right off.
It didn't do anything, huh?
No.
See,
it comes right off.
You're a magician. You're a magician of bloods. That's so crazy. And I know, like I mentioned at the beginning, you worked on Evil, and they used your blood in the episodes.
They did. They did use my blood on the episodes.
Is that like a pretty like incredible moment where you're like, word, I'm on a major television and they're using my product. Like, my blood is being featured on these actors in this realm on this level. Like, that's a huge moment as well.
It is. And thankfully some other people have taken notice, and there's some upcoming projects that are really big in the horror industry that
Get
people
out.
have decided to use my blood. I'm just like, yes.
Elizabeth, oh, I'm so excited to even find out. Obviously, I mean, under wraps for now, but that is major. It's
Yeah.
major. I mean, and hopefully just continuing to grow and blossom. And for people tuning in, I hope they're listening. And if you do need blood, and right now it's predominantly, I mean, they can reach out to you and then put it forward.
Absolutely.
I know you have the 2 prep day rule. So that way, like you had said, it's of quality and you guys have time to prep and make it because you are making it in small batches. Do you yourself hand make it?
I do. I
Okay.
hand make it. I prefer waiting 2 days. Usually by the time I ship it, it's been 2 days anyway, so it doesn't really, you know,
Yeah.
that 2 days goes by very quickly.
Yes.
But I love checking the quality for each thing. You
Yeah.
know, that's I wanna give somebody the best quality possible. So
Mhm.
I personally like making it myself, you know, when I expand more. I'm sure I'll let the reins, you know, people take over more and just be like, t I'll still test it,
I
you
was
know?
gonna say, you'll be your little overseer.
Yeah, I'll just be like, "Huh, okay."
Long as we're all up to standard now. It's almost like Sarah Jessica Parker. She literally still goes into stores weekly. Do you know that? Where she sells
Oh,
shoes? She will go into the store and service customers. And if they're trying
wow.
on her shoes and go over into her area and be like, okay, is it fitting? How do you like how do you like the shape? How do you like the feel? She's like all about, but she's like, I'm old school with it because like I said, for you, kudos, because people don't do that anymore. They do
Mhm.
mass production. They just do it because they want to say, oh, well, now I just have the title of business owner and I'm making extra money and that's great. But it's like, I love and admire so deeply when I see an artist that is as talented as you are, but then has the passion behind something and then goes, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it of quality. And it's
Thank
like
you.
through and through on that. So
Yeah,
really, truly, it's very exciting. I'm
quality means a lot.
quality means a ton and it goes so far. I wish people kind of knew that a little bit more, that that's going to be more worth it than in this fast paced world. They just, people want to get it out, want to get it out, want to get it out, but it's not worth it when it's just half assed. It's never
Yeah.
going to be worth it. And like you said, it's clearly paid off because now you have people in higher, like looking to you going, you know what, this really stands out. We're going to use this. I'm
Mhm.
going to back this. And that in and of itself, when you have industry standard and people saying, yep, I mean, I would die. I would die. I love it. Do you still, I mean, I'm assuming that's like your go-to when you're working on things, even now, it's like my blood. I'm bringing my blood with me.
Oh, absolutely. No
Yeah.
matter what, I'll always have a bottle with me just in
Yeah.
case. You never know, you
Right.
know?
You know, it's like hot sauce in your bag. You're like, yeah, you never know where you're going to
Exactly.
need blood.
You never know when you need blood. Also, I mean, when you're talking to somebody and like the topic comes up, it's just like, oh yes, I just have this in my purse here.
That is good. Business 101, people. Bring your prototype, bring it
Bring
with
your
you.
product. Yes,
Yes. That is
absolutely.
everything. Oh my God. Do you feel like there's any who up there with you, if you could have anybody that inspired you for blood or lines that maybe you felt were really good, before you, or people that you saw, is there anybody, maybe it's a film like you said in particular, where that was like that really, I know you had said yes, the films, but
Mhm.
just things that you admire as well that's on quality that you've used before that you made it go, oh, that's good too, we like that too.
Different products or
Different products, I guess, or blood, or even just an artist like that inspires you to continue to doing an SFX. I just think it's
um
a 3-part ADD question, by the way. Very ADD in my brain question.
well, I mentioned my blood product to one makeup artist, Matiki. Have you met her?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
She's amazing.
She's OG. She's talk about been around. She knows
She
what's up.
is.
Yep.
And she was talking to me about side hustles, and I mentioned, "Oh yeah, I've always been thinking about
Mhm.
doing a blood product, and she said you should do it,
Yes.
And she helped me with the first part of the name. We were spitballing and she was helping me like, you know, uh come up with names, and Cine came up, that's
Yeah.
a really movie driven term,
Yeah.
and Cine Blood. And then I wanted to I added in a typo because universal blood donor typo.
Yep. Yep. See?
So it just all kind of spitballed together. She helped me out a lot with, you know, driving me to actually just
Yeah.
pushing me to do it. And yeah, I'm glad I did.
Listen, it always goes back to, I think that's really where my question was stemming from. Like, who kind of helped you? Not other blood brands, because we're not really trying to back other blood brands right now. Hello, Rachel. Duh.
Well, you know what?
But
Fleet
still,
Street is great. I love Fleet Street.
I wouldn't
I'll
know.
use them.
That's the thing that's like, I because I'm not on set doing the full special effects, I will
Mhm.
literally just run into Alcon and be like, blood. Just, I couldn't tell you maybe what even brand it was. I'm just like, is it dry? It dries. I like ask them. They're like, yep. I'm like, cool. What works for me? But now I'm excited where I know a brand and I really understand it and I like know who does. I'm like, okay, good. That's my go-to.
Well, I mean, I'm high maintenance with blood, so I'm just like, is it great? You know, what if you put water on it? Is it going to turn pink
What
or is it going to
happened?
look good?
Oh
You
my
know?
God. I've been a mediocre blood girl. I'm so sorry.
Aw.
I'm gonna have to upgrade. But I love that Matiki swept in. I love that's the biggest thing for me in this industry is when you really do find those people. Like you said, even with your friend Brenda, it's just the backers. Because even when you have a good idea and you know it's good, it's such a community. I mean, that's with everything, even outside of our industry. You need that community of people around you to support you and cheer you on to be like, do it. Do it. I know
You
there's
do.
gonna be fear in it. There's gonna be questioning, but do it. Push, get it done. And even just to start, because let's say you did your first rounds. I mean, like you said, you've been working on this. You've been playing around and doing the blood testing and really
Yeah.
getting it to the formula you wanted. But let's say you hadn't been 10 years back. This would have been the time to just start. Do it, trial and error,
Oh,
go
absolutely.
at it. And I feel like so many people, that's their biggest fear is like, I don't want to even start because, well, what do I really have to offer? You know, yes, there's tons of other bloodlines out there, semi. I don't, again, though, I think it's way more niche than like a blush line. Like the blushes for every brand, like blood is still very niche. And I feel like it's a market that has so much room to grow. And I applaud you for being like, I'm going to take that on. That's cool. That's so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing to do, you know.
Yeah.
And when you have the horror community backing you,
Totally.
that they love your product, it's like, okay, good.
Like, wait, we're on the
I did my
right.
job.
Yes, we're on the right track. I
Yeah.
love that. Now I know clearly quarantine hasn't affected you all that much as far as being productive and getting things. I mean, I won't throw that because I know it all for sure affects us because it is just an unprecedented time right now. It's a very emotionally, physically bearing different times, and like you said, adaptable. We have to adapt to just creating differently, producing differently, all that kind of stuff. But what's anything upcoming for you that we're seeing in the next couple years or month that you're trying to kind of manifest for yourself?
Well, the film should be coming out soon.
Okay.
We're finishing post on that, so that's gonna be a big one. And yes, a lot of my blood is in the movie.
Yay! Thank God.
So that kills like several stones of mine.
100%. 100%.
So that's going to be coming up. I have a project I'm jumping on to coming up, which I can't talk about.
Yes, per usual. We cannot, which is good. But we get excited to know people are out there and getting back to work, which is good. A lot of people are slow, but it's coming.
It is coming. And, you know,
I feel like, okay, come on, it's coming about.
Yeah. And I plan to stay very cautious. You know, this is a very tricky time. You know, early on in March, you know, with everything that happened, I feel like it's pushed me that much more to take leaps and bounds. And, you know, you only get one life. So let's make it count.
Truly. And you didn't take a back seat, which I commend you for. Cause I know, I mean, I had to a little bit, but I also think for those that had the sit down, it's also like you kind of took it as a moment, which I think is beautiful to be like, all right, I'm going to push myself out of a comfort zone and do what I need to do. Whereas some people are like, oh, finally, I need to sit the fuck down. Like I need to sit down and take a break because they had been going and going. So this moment in time to just kind of pause was actually great for their bodies and their mental health to be able to actually stop, because there's the people that can't stop when they don't, you know what I mean? They have the choice to, they won't. So this kind of telling you in a lot of ways, like you kind of have to. There's a lot less doors open and opportunities out there. There was a full standstill, I feel like, at one point where we kind of were on a low-key shutdown. Like that really, I mean, my God, were you still working in the midst of that too? Or did you get any kind of like restart, reset?
I stopped working in March.
Yes.
Like beginning of March, it just kind of stopped. Like the shoots that I was on started slowing down, I think because the reports came in, and then it's like and it's dead.
Yep.
Everything shut down.
Yep. I
We're
remember
done.
being on set and they were like, okay, we'll see you next. Nope, we won't see you next week. And I was like, damn it.
Nope.
So close. Yeah, no, I was literally driving to do a Broadway opening night makeup, and I was in the car and had to turn around. That's how abrupt it was. They shut Broadway down, like it gave a call before the evening and it was like done. And like, we didn't know, I mean, I didn't know it was going to be the start of like a really, for real, especially for Broadway, a very big shutdown. So I'm like, oh my goodness, little did we know. But my God, I guess my last question for you, Elizabeth, is if there's anything that we don't know about you. So now this can be personal, or it can be something just about your career. And then I have, actually, no, it's a lie, because I have one more question for you. But is there something that we just really don't know about you, or people maybe would assume that they just, personality was something that's just not really out there in the open?
I think probably people have realized this about me, but I'm actually a very shy person.
No, we know that.
Okay. All right, then that's not one.
So that's not, but to be fair, when they do get to know you, I mean, you're shy, but you're not that shy. Because, I mean, I'm a talker, so I just kind of kept talking to you. When I first met you, I was like, I don't really care if I'm just going to keep talking. Like, I viewed it as a little shy, but like, I've met some shy people.
Yes, I have too.
I'm leaving.
I'm in the middle ground shy. You know, once I know you, I'm like, okay, I know you.
Yeah. That's good. I was gonna say, you do not. I'm sure people watching are like, she doesn't seem shy. I love it.
Well, they won't see that from my pictures either. But I'm actually a shy person.
No shy girl is lying in like a bucket of blood. They wouldn't do that. That's almost like a good thing. I think that some people don't know about you is like that you really, I don't know. I feel like that took me by surprise, being like, oh, she's going to go ahead and do all the things. I loved it. I didn't know that was in your, because like you said, though, you used to act. I mean, you like to act.
I do. I do act as well. And I acted in the Dark Offerings as well, you know, and in the web series. For me, it's fun. You know, you can't always do one job. For creative people especially, you know, you can have your job that you do every day, and you have to do the other things that you love to do, you know, whether it's cooking or painting, both I love doing, or acting, you know, that's fun as well. You know, I'm always big on the emotional element of movies, so creating an emotion with special effects, you know, getting that crazy reaction, or creating the emotion myself, you know, in front of the camera. Both of those I think are very fun to do. So I love to do it all.
See, that's impressive though. And I love your take on it. I think it's really cool that even as if you kind of view yourself as a middle shy person, do you feel yourself when you're acting? Like, are you kind of like an actor where they tell you, oh, you don't feel like yourself, you're kind of out of your box, you're in a different realm, so you're able to kind of come out a little bit more?
When I'm acting, I'm somebody else, so I don't have to worry about it. Just like the photos. I was Elizabeth Bathory, so I don't think about it. You know, I just did it. You know, when I post the pictures, I'm like,
oh, maybe
I'll do it. It's fine.
I love that. You're like Beyonce. You're just putting on your Sasha Fierce. You're just like putting on your whole persona, and then you're able to do things. I feel that. I have to like myself. I mean, I think people think I'm very outgoing, which I am, but I'm also like you, where I'm just like, oh, I can be introverted as hell. And so it's like, I can be out there, but I think intro extroverts, it actually takes a lot of energy out of you to be so on. So like, even if I'm like, woo, 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 like I'll go home and I'm quiet, because I'm like, oh, I just gave everything during the day to people, and now I got to kind of reset. I can't go forever.
Especially with makeup. It can, I don't think people realize how emotionally exhausting it is, because you have to be this for this person, you have to be this for that person. You know, you have to follow directions. It's very multitasking.
Super multitasking.
Which people don't quite realize. I mean, they'll see the brushes and the makeup and everything, but it's more than that.
So much more. So much more. We can be mini therapists. We're the best friends. We're in very vulnerable moments, very excitable moments. It's like you really, like you said, kind of through a roller coaster of emotions and moments for these actors, whether they be old friends and people you've gotten to know, or a completely new person, first day of school vibe, where you're like, all right, I just met you and now I have to be comfortable with you in 10 minutes. Like we gotta,
Exactly.
create that bond. I think it's
Yeah.
a really unique kind of characteristic and personality makeup artists have to be able to be that adaptable, that fast, while also doing a task.
Mhm.
The way you kind of put it made me feel like, oh my God, we are really like superheroes. We are doing a
We
lot.
are. We
Yeah.
are. We do a lot.
Yes.
We are, I mean, we're people's mothers, like, or we're people's
Oh,
therapists, like you said.
yeah.
We have to be the queen bee and, like,
Yep.
control the whole
Yep.
department.
Mhm.
We have to do we're everything.
Yeah, truly. I even like,
And
yeah.
and we can't be seen. We just have
By
to
the way,
stay in the
do
midst.
all of that and then don't be seen or heard.
Yes, exactly.
What a trick bag. No wonder we're all like, whoa, going crazy. Because I'm
I
like,
know.
I have to like acquire multiple personalities for this job.
You do. You
Like,
do.
truly. Oh my God.
It really is like acting.
That we're acting all the time. In fact,
There
yeah.
you go.
I love that. Okay, my last final question for you, and I'm gonna leave it to you. What is the most embarrassing moment that you've had happen to you on set?
Ooh,
We got to give the people the real stuff. Can't give them all the good.
no. Okay. So I was very close to making a mistake.
Oh,
Um, for me, it was a big mistake. In my head, it was huge.
no.
Um, it was on one of my first big sets,
Hmm.
and there were a million extras, and I'm going around. We don't have much time, there's like, I have to get this whole section of like 40 people,
Oh my
and
God.
everybody's shiny, everybody's sweating. So I'm like going around, I'm
This is
powdering. I start to go up to this one person, and their face looked very familiar. Like I thought I saw them in the background, but I wasn't quite sure. So, I started reaching my brush up, and then I just kind of stopped and did like a maneuver thing, like to the other person, because I realized that they were a lead.
no. No.
So I maneuvered myself away, just kind of smiled it off and like, haha.
I was just coming to say, hey, with my brush.
Ah.
Like,
Yep,
what?
exactly.
Oh no. Oh, my heart would be the same, but it's so minor. Like we look at
It is.
so minor, but I know in
It is.
those moments I'm like, oh, like
Well, and you never know with who you're working with. A powdering can be a huge thing to one department head and a minor thing to another.
very
Because
true. But it's
everybody
hard.
has different styles. So, and
Totally.
you always have to adapt yourself
Yep.
and make sure what their style is before you do anything.
Yeah. And that was like, like you're saying, it's very true that you put that out. It could be a make or break moment for department heads. It's like, that's never, you can never, I won't allow that on my set. I don't want those kind of workers or makeup artists. It's kind of like,
Mm,
oh, God damn. But like you said, we have to adapt. That's where I know I've run into issues because I'm just like, oh, like if I know it's like, I try to pick and choose my where I'll be able to like fit in of like styles because I'm like I feel like I'm a little I can be a bit much sometimes, so I'm like, oh my God, I'm learning to just be where I need to be at time. Oh my God, but I
but
understand that that's a lot.
but you also have to be yourself.
That's
That's,
I know.
so it's hard.
Get in where you can fit in. That's where I always say. I'm like, you know what? You won't be for everybody on every set, and that's okay. But
That's
just
true.
do what you can, where you can, and those will always be they'll be a more enjoyable experience anyways. Because if I have to force something super out of pocket, where
Mhm.
I'm just like, ooh, I really don't align with that, it's just not an enjoyable job. So it's good to kind of find those places. But also, like you said, it's actually challenging and a good learning experience as well when you do have to work for people that you're like, all right, this is so not my style, but I'm probably
Mhm.
going to learn a lot because
You
it's going to
do.
push me out of my comfort zone of what I'm used to.
And that's happened, and you do learn key things. You have to separate yourself and like, okay, that's great information to have now. I'll use that in my back pocket for the future. And it's a whole learning experience. Every set is different, and we're all artists. We're
Right.
all a little bit particular with certain things, and then
Yeah.
other things we're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
We're a
so
mixed
it's
bag.
it's always, everybody you'll meet, you'll have a different experience with, and that's okay. You can have great experiences, or you can have, it's just not for you.
Yep.
But
Yep.
at the end of the day, we're all creating, and
Yeah.
It's always a fun time.
We're always learning. Exactly. At the very least, we are always learning and growing for the better, just because, you know, always you have to. There's no choice. You got to. Oh my goodness. Elizabeth, I cannot thank you enough for sitting with me and giving me all your information and just experience. You are just so down to earth and a breath of fresh air with a person in the industry that I was very lucky to get to meet. And I am very excited to continue to see the life of Cine Blood Type 0. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, is it O or 0? I want to kick myself. Rachel, like, I won't get it right. Just know that I'm going to be the one. I'll write it right. I just won't say it right, Elizabeth. I will try.
Just think of it as the blood, you know, the blood type. Type O, type A, type AB.
Type B. See, that's my brain. That's like my like super creative brain that I see an image and I just think
0.
You know what I mean? Like your brain fixates. Okay, blood type O, everyone. Get it right. Don't be like me. Well, we're going to tag all your stuff below so people can keep up and follow with you.
Perfect.
Thank you so much again. I will see you so soon. I appreciate your time, girl.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. We'll see you later.